Hi! Remember me from Surviving the Living Dead? Well, I'm back again with another episode of Surviving the Living Dead to give you some more tips. We covered basically everything. One thing, it's never been clear as to whether or not animals become zombies or not, but it's always good just to stay clear. And if you can find one that isn't infected or wouldn't maw off your own damn hand, be sure to bring it along. We'll go over some tips about good dogs. I wouldn't advise about going over Rottweilers. As well, they have a history of turning on their owners. Same for pit bulls. Granted, they are great dogs, and they tear apart anything that comes at you. But would you really want to be walking down the road and all of a sudden, Scooby-Doo there just starts looking at you and growling at you like you're a fresh piece of meat? Just wouldn't be good. You don't want to get any small dogs. I mean, granted, Chihuahuas are very barkative, and they do manage to keep, you alert, but you'll never get any sleep, especially with a high-pitched going on, and there wouldn't be much defense. All a freaking zombie had to do was just punt that thing and it'd be flying across the whole freaking state. You wouldn't want any mid-sized, you have to be able to pick it right. You wouldn't want a medium-sized dog because, again, a little bit of a height issue. It's taller than, the little tiny Chihuahuas or anything like that, but it isn't as tall as a Rottweiler. And though then it may be like a perfect size, it just probably wouldn't be the best dog in the world. It'd be great if you weren't going through long, walks and all that, if you're just trying to get into stuff. Especially with the fact that this dog can probably squeeze through tight spots than you can. And you can probably get it over there to see if there's any zombies on the other side. Another good dog, which has always been great, is the Lab. The Labrador has always been a great pet, family friendly, and all sorts of stuff. Such dog, it's pretty good for anything you need. It's a great guard dog and such. Another good dog would be a Doberman. They have a very low chance of turning on their owners. And they have very high, they're like great dogs. But most people will probably stick to the German Shepherd. It is a very reliable dog, police dog. On top of that, it's just great trainer, great everything. That dog tops pretty much all other dogs. If I say pick a dog, I'd say look for a German Shepherd because they probably can help you out better than any other dog that you find. So yeah, that's great for dog tips right there. Be sure you pick the right dog. Another good tip would be probably, we've already covered buildings, but let's cover certain types, like cities, urbans, well, urban is city, or, what do you call it, suburbs, towns, all sorts of stuff like that. Let's cover those bases. Okay, the last place you want to go is a freaking city. I mean, seriously, do you have a death wish or something? Let's think about it. That's the most populated area. I had a guy one time ask me, if the zombies were to attack, what would our chances be of right now, seeing how we're at a convention, of surviving? It'd be very, well, damn slim. We're a group of people, and people will pretty much panic. Crowds is bad. We don't want to be around a crowd. You can't tell which one's a zombie, especially if it's at a convention. Say you're at some Star Wars convention or Dragon Con or such like that. There'll be people that will dress up as zombies. They get bit. You can't tell the difference if they're an actual zombie or if they're just faking it. And you might accidentally end up shooting a pedestrian. To play it safe, you don't want to be in a city. You just want to get the hell out of there. Now, granted, I'll say that if you shoot someone who wasn't a zombie but dressed up as one, well, it's their own fault. For when a zombie apocalypse freaking breaks out and you decide to dress up as a zombie, you deserve to be shot. I mean, no offense. But dressing up as a zombie is not going to save you from the other zombies. Something about they have this sense of knowing that you're not one of the dead. And then they're just going to go all gangster on you and just kick your ass. It's just how it goes. It's common knowledge. Another thing. In cities, it's going to be tight spots. There's going to be vehicles everywhere. You don't want to get stuck in those positions because all it takes is you just take one wrong turn and you're screwed. You got a ton of zombies on your ass and not enough ammunition. What are you going to do then? Another great thing is probably, well, no, there isn't really any great things in the city. Yeah, sure, you can get in buildings, tall places, and maybe if you block off the stairwell, you might survive. Here's the problem. What are you going to do for food? Especially if you're stuck in one of those glass buildings. You're screwed. And if a zombie comes through, pretty much all you can do that would probably save you from the living dead to join their horde is throw yourself out the window. It's not a great idea at all. But if you're surrounded by zombies, that's all you can do. Let's see here. Suburbs. They're not as big as cities, but you wouldn't really want to travel one. Still, there's that problem with population. We want to get away from the population, not get towards it. Who cares if there's other survivors? Here's the problem. I've already said this in the first video. We're expressing number one here. We don't care about anyone else. We need to get safe. And everyone else is thinking the same way. They don't care. They just want to become number one. So, in this topic, suburbs aren't all that great. They have vehicles everywhere. Again, the vehicle issue. We don't want a vehicle at all. We want to run on foot. Make sure you're fit. Towns. Towns are pretty much populated again. Another populated area. Keep away from towns, suburbs, and urbans. We don't want to go anywhere near that. I mean, zombies, they're pretty much going to be drawn to those areas. So the best way to do is stick it to the woods. At least you can hide underneath things. Yes, they make a lot of noises, but make sure you can Whoopie Ninja your way through all that. Sure, you can head to a town or an urban or a suburb to find guns and stuff, but the potential is if you pick up a 35 caliber freaking sniper rifle, are you going to actually be able to find those ammunitions on your way out there? No. So be sure you pick the right guns. 9mm. Most everyone has them. Shotguns, yeah, they're pretty good, but they're horrible at close range. Oh, well, actually, that's all they're good for, but they're horrible. Because if you get into an enclosed space, you can only shoot and reload for so many times. And you can only reload so fast. So, yeah. Stick away from the urban, the any populated area. Just stick away from it. I realized I didn't really do any real good levels whenever I was sitting there talking about buildings. Hospitals, stay away from them. Don't go into them. I know you play a lot of games. You see a lot of people with hospital problems, and they always seem to go into it. But here's the problem. There's sick people there. People are going to go to there first. Whenever they get bit, they're going there. Worst place ever to go. Do not, just avoid it altogether. And don't go to a funeral home. There's a lot of dead there. Do you really want to take your chances? Especially if you want to take your chance with an embalmed zombie. They'll be the worst. They'll last longer than any of the normal zombies. Let's see here. Another thing, don't go to school. I mean, if a zombie horde breaks out and kids are in class, you're just going to have to deal with a bunch of little kids. And if you can't stand kids already when they're living, imagine how annoying they're going to be when they're dead. Another thing. Okay, I know a lot of people think, we'll go to the mall. There's a lot of, places there. You can eat. You'll have fresh clothes. All this and that. Well, here's the problem. Everyone's going to have that same exact thought from watching movies such as Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead has it where you're in a mall. And if you notice, there were some, wrangling zombies getting in there. And eventually they would have eventually broken in there. It's not a great thing. If you ever played the game, forgot its name, but there's this great game that's out there that is in the mall. It kind of reminds me of Dawn of the Dead, but they claim they're not. The moment the door opened up, all the zombies flooded in, they're screwed. That's a problem that you might run into, especially if you're in mall. Everyone's going to go to it. They only have glass doors, and after a while, the strength of all the zombies up against the wall, doors, they'll eventually break that glass. They have no pain, so therefore they make them think they have superhuman strength, or make us think it. When all in actuality they don't. They just don't have any feeling of pain, so they don't know when they're pushing their limit and when they're not. And this can be a very big problem, especially for survivors. Don't go to the mall. Avoid it. Take what you need, only what you need, and make sure that you can just survive it out on your own. You want to go out in the wilderness. Castles are one of the greatest places in the world. Too bad they're run down. You really can't use them. That would have been a great fortress. Hell, build your own fortress out of stone if you're good enough at building stuff like that. But yeah, just stuff like that. Steel doors. Anything that keeps them out. That's pretty much more of a better basis on the buildings. I might go over it again later on. So, buildings. Just be careful. And don't go to malls. Don't go to hospitals. Don't go to funeral homes. Think populated places are just not where we want to go. And remember, pretty much if you got an idea, everyone else has got the same idea. So make sure you have multiple plans. Next, we're going to go over groups. If you have to have a group, okay, make sure it is 3 or, less people. I mean, you don't want to have too many people in a group. And make sure that you have enough food and everything and ammunition for everyone. I mean, they're all going to fight over it. A lot of people fight over ammunition. I don't have enough ammunition. Can you lend me some? That's the problem with groups. They just nag. But if you have to be in one, then go for it. Another thing, then, here's another problem with groups. If one falls behind, the other one's going to want to go back and help them. If you keep running, they're going to think, you're a total dick. And you might be, but guess what? You're surviving. And so if the other one wants to be stupid enough to run back for the other person, leave them. That's their own problem. They want to run back for someone who tripped and fell or got hurt. It ain't your problem. Keep going. Your job is to survive this. Because, I mean, if no one survives, then what's the point? You know, you might as well just take the gun and turn around and shoot yourself with it. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. You know, we're here to survive zombie hordes, not just sit there and let them kick us in the ass. So, yeah. Other than that, I haven't had anything else to go over. So if you can think of anything, hit it up in the comment box. So yeah, I'll be able to catch up with you for another zombie survival tips on how to survive the living dead.
So let me get this straight. I laugh. I lose. The challenge is accepted.